Morning everyone, today we're going to be doing some landscape photography in the Peak District. So I've come out to Ladybower Reservoir this morning, and what I really wanted to see was the shaft spillways overflowing. I don't know if you can see, there's one just down here. It's basically a giant plug hole in the reservoir, and when the water level gets too high, the water overflows and goes down there to dissipate the water away from the reservoir. And recently the water level has been quite high. It's quite rare to see the water overflowing into them, but we have had high snowfall and rainfall, and it's meant that the water was overflowing. But unfortunately this morning it must have lowered, and I've missed it, so we've not got it this morning. But instead I'm going to be walking around the reservoir, and I'll be talking about composition and camera settings, and hopefully we'll just get a really good landscape photography vlog. So let's head on. So there's a nice little composition just behind me. We've got the banisters and the stairs that are creating a leading line down to this tower, and then we've got the mountains in the distance. And that's creating quite a nice composition. We've got some really nice light on the tower at the moment. So I'm using the wide angle lens, the 14 to 30mm Z lens, and I'm at f11, ISO 64. And I've just dropped my exposure down a little bit using exposure compensation, so it's at about minus 0.7, and that's just darkening the sky a little bit. And I think I can get away without having to bracket the shot if I just do that. I can bring the shadows up in the foreground and around the tower, and hopefully my sky won't get blown out. So once again I'm out a little bit late this morning. If you watched my video last week, you'll know that I only just made golden hour, and today I kind of missed it, to be honest. There is still some nice light, but I didn't get the nice sunrise or golden hour, and that's because we've got a new dog recently. Andrea, my wife, and I got a little labradoodle. He's called Otis. If you're watching Bruce, we didn't name him after your Otis, we just thought it was a great name, so we both have dogs called Otis now. And at the moment he's just a puppy. He can't come out for too long. We can exercise him for about 30 minutes per day at the moment, but as soon as he's old enough, we're going to get him out when we're filming the videos, and you'll get to meet him, so that should be great. I'm going to crack on now and get some more shots. here's the other giant plug hole just behind me. This one's really nice because you've got the bridge and the towers in the background, so you can create quite a nice composition out of this one. So I did start by getting some shots of this with my 24-200mm, but you really need the wide angle on for this, so I've popped that back on. They're just so huge and so close to the camera in the foreground there, you really need the wide angle to fit them all in. And I've got the tower in the distance with the bridge, like I said. On the video here you'll see the sky is really overexposed, so with the shot I'm going to take, I am going to bracket this one. I'm going to take a sequence of 5 shots with a step of 2 stops in between. So hopefully that'll get the sky nice and defined, and we'll also have the foreground with a lot of detail as well. I have also stuck a polarizer on the front just to take a little bit of glare from the concrete on the front of the plug hole there. Okay, so the sun's getting quite high in the sky now, not perfect for landscape photography. So I'm going to get back, and what we'll do, we'll get on the computer in Lightroom and we'll go through the process of stacking those bracketed shots. I'll see you back there. So it's a bit of a shame I didn't get to see the shaft spillways overflowing. Hopefully next time I'm out there I'll get to see those in action. But it was still great to be out at Ladybower. It's a place that I pass often when I'm heading into the Peak District, but I never really stopped to do any photography. But it's great, there's so many opportunities there, so it was really nice to have a casual stroll around and just take some shots of the things that I saw along my way. I said that I'd talk about the last shot that I got and how I bracketed that, so I'll hand over to myself and we'll go through it in Lightroom. So I set up the Z7 to take a series of images. You can do this through the menu system, and you basically tell it how many shots you want to take and then how much to change the EV between each shot. So EV is the exposure value. It's basically a combination of F number and shutter speed, and 1 EV is a stop of exposure. So the first image it took was this one, and that's at 0 EV, so the basic exposure value straight out of the camera. The next one is at -4 EV, and then it increases it by 2 EV to -2. We've got +2 there, and we've got +4 there. So they're not quite in order. If they were in order, it would be the -4, -2, 0, +2, and then +4. But we're going to take a look at those. This is the 0 EV one. This is probably the most balanced image exposure-wise, but we can see the sky is overexposed. We've got no detail in there, and it's way too bright, and we've burnt out the highlights. The foreground is way too black, but there are some tones in between which are usable. We go to the -4 one, and we can see everything in the foreground is basically too dark. It's just black silhouette, but the sky looks really good. It's quite detailed. And then the next one at -2 EV, we've still got a bit of detail in the sky. The foreground's not quite as black, but it's still way underexposed, but we have got some tones in between we can probably use. And then the foreground in this one is pretty good, quite well exposed. Obviously the sky and the distance is quite overexposed there. And then this one at +4 EV, I basically don't need that one because it's just so overexposed. There's nothing usable there, even the foreground is overexposed, so I'm just going to delete that, and I'm going to use the 4 that I've got here. So we'll go into develop, and all we need to do is go down to the bottom here, hold shift on the keyboard, select those 4 images, and then we can right click or control and click, and we need to choose photo merge and then choose HDR. And that'll bring up a little dialog window. We'll just let it do its thing. So I select auto align, and if there's any discrepancy in the images, if they're slightly misaligned, that will automatically realign them. I don't choose auto settings because I want to have full control over editing my image. And deghost amount, you can play around with this, but it'll basically try and fix areas that are ghosted. Basically, there's a little patch there that's quite ghosty. On this one I'm going to set it to high. You can see what it's doing when you click on show ghost, deghost overlay. So that's where it's deghosting in this instance. And you want to create a stack, and then all you need to do is click merge and let it think about it for a while. Depending on how fast your computer is, it'll take longer or slower, and it also depends on the resolution of your image as well. So now that's taken the most useful information from each of those 4 images, and if we edit this image now, I'll start just by clicking auto. You'll see it brings detail into every part of the image. We've got the detail in the sky from the image that was -4 EV or -2, and then we've got the detail in the foreground from the images that were more overexposed, so the +2 EV or 0 EV. And we can just edit this like a normal image now. I can use selective tools such as a linear gradient, pull that down over the sky, bring down the exposure a bit, or the highlights, just to bring out some more detail in there. Could bring the clarity up if I wanted, probably a bit too much. And I could bring another linear gradient up on the bottom, maybe bring some clarity in there, a little bit of texture. So it's a really powerful tool to bracket your shots. And if you want to know what HDR stands for, it's high dynamic range. So the dynamic range in the image is just the lights and dark areas. And obviously when you're taking a normal shot, if you've got something that's really overexposed, the camera can't meter properly to get the foreground and everything else balanced with the really bright area of the image. So by using the HDR technique, you get a much more blended and balanced image. It's not for everyone, it's got a very particular look. Some people don't like it. I don't mind it on occasions, and I will use it when I can't get proper exposure in one shot. There is other software available to do this. I like to use Lightroom, but try with your own software, you'll probably get similar results. And that's it for another week. We're already nearly into February, the weeks are flying by. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. If you are new to the channel and you're not already subscribed, please consider doing so. You can click down here on the big red button or over here on my face. That way you'll keep up to date with everything I'm doing each and every week. There's a new video every Sunday morning, 10 AM UK time. So I hope you catch me next week for the next one, and until then, thanks a lot everyone, and bye for now.